There are 7 levels to personal finance, but most people never make it past level 3. They get stuck in survival or stability, and then they spend years treading water, never knowing why money feels hard. And here's the problem. Most people don't even know these levels exist. They don't know where they are, what they're doing wrong, or how to move forward. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 7 levels of personal finance and what you should be doing in each one to build wealth and live your rich life. Let's get started with level 1, survival. Now, if you are in survival mode, money feels like it's controlling you. You're constantly on edge, and one unexpected expense can throw your whole life into chaos. So how do you know if you're here? You probably don't know how much you make. You don't know how much you owe. You constantly feel behind or genuinely are behind on rent, credit card bills, utilities, and any emergency feels catastrophic. Here's what to focus on at this level. Start by getting brutally honest about your numbers. First, figure out how much you actually make. I say that because I'm shocked by how many people can't answer this. 50% of the guests on my podcast don't even know their gross income. If you don't know how much you make, everything else in your finances is a guess. And if that's you, that's okay, because today's the day you're going to stop guessing and start leading. If you are paid hourly, I'm going to give you a quick little tip. Double your hourly wage and add 3 zeros. That's a good approximate way to figure out how much you make per year. So $20 an hour is about $40,000 a year. Next, open up every account. Write down every bill, every debt, every expense. You can use a debt calculator to see when your debt will actually be paid off. And I'll link our free calculator in the description below. Get answers to these questions. How much are you saving every month? How much are you investing every month? And how much are you spending on housing? You need to know these numbers cold. And then start small. Save $20 a month just to prove to yourself that you can. Then save $50. Then take a second to reflect. What are your invisible scripts or deeply held beliefs about money? These are thoughts like credit cards are evil, or you're throwing money away on rent, or rich people are assholes. Some might help you. Some of these invisible scripts might be holding you back. Decide what beliefs serve you, let go of the rest. And one final tip that's really important at this level, increase your income. Sometimes there's only so much you can save for. Sometimes you just need to focus on increasing that income. Level 2, stability. If you're at this level, good news. You're no longer drowning. You're paying your bills. You still might have some debt, but that debt is probably not growing dramatically. You can finally take a breath, but it's still tight. You want to save, but often people at this level cannot consistently do so. Here's how you know you're here. You can cover your basic needs. You're making at least minimum payments on debt. You're not overdrafting at the bank, but saving and planning ahead still feel hard. So what do? The answer, you start building systems. This is where you implement a conscious spending plan, which you can get for free in the description below. You automate your bills, you automate your debt payments, and you automate your savings. You're not doing any of those things manually anymore. Don't rely on willpower. That's the key to getting out of this level and moving up. Aim to save and invest at least 5% of your take-home pay. If you don't know how to start, try a basic investment calculator and plug in $100, $200, $500 a month with a 7% return. You can use the calculator that I link below. You'll see the difference between I'll do it someday and I started now. That difference can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. And when people see these numbers, which take like 10 seconds to plug in, it lights a fire under their ass. Also, if you have high interest debt, call and negotiate that rate down. Sometimes this works and it can save you thousands. That way you can reallocate money from interest payments to building your savings and growing your investments in the next level. After taking care of the necessities, take some time to identify your money dials. Here's the question I want to ask you. If I gave you $25,000 right now and told you to spend it on one category of your life, travel, food, wellness, whatever you love, no guilt, no questions asked, what would it be? That answer is your number one money dial. And let's build your spending plan around that. The key here is consistency. You are laying the foundation for everything that comes next. Stability gets you out of this crisis mode. But security, that's when you finally start building wealth with confidence. Level 3, security. Security is the first level where you can finally look forward instead of constantly looking back. And that is a huge feeling. At this level, you're feeling much calmer. You're saving, you're investing. You're not waking up in the middle of the night panicking about your account balance. You know you're here if you know how much you make and spend. You have a small emergency fund. Your debt is gone or it's under control. And you have started investing consistently. What should you be doing now? My answer, focus on growing your emergency fund and increasing your investments. Make sure your emergency fund covers at least 3 to 6 months of expenses, and also increase your investments to at least 10% of your take-home pay. If you have a 401k, great, include that. And don't overthink the whole pre-tax versus post-tax thing. In the grand scheme, it's not that meaningful of a difference. Start learning about your crossover point. This is the moment when your investments make you more money. You need to know that number. It could take you 15 years or 20 years from now, but when you know that target, it shows you how quickly you are moving towards your goals. Now you're making smart money decisions. You're saving, you're investing, you're thinking about the future, including your crossover point. But there's one money decision a lot of people don't rethink. That's their financial advisor. If you are working with someone who charges you 1% AUM, that's 1% of your assets under management, I strongly recommend you take a second look. Do you even know how much you're paying your financial advisor? Most people don't. And then they tell me, Ramit, I can't get rid of this guy. He sends me a birthday card. He helped my parents. He took me to mini golf one time. He's so nice. Okay, I'm sure Chet is nice. But a nice advisor charging you 1% could cost you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Now, if you want a financial advisor to look over your plan, look over your investments, that's okay. I've hired one myself to review my asset allocation, but I would pay flat fee, not on a percentage basis. That is what you call a flat rate financial planner. Once you've stopped overpaying for advice, you can free up thousands of dollars to invest smarter. And that's exactly what level 4 is about, turning momentum into serious growth. Welcome to the level where wealth starts building upon itself. At this stage, you're no longer reacting to money. You are being highly intentional with it. You know you're in growth mode if your investments are growing and they are consistent. You know when you'll hit $100,000 or even $1 million. You think in terms of percentages and strategy. And finally, you've made trade-offs to grow your wealth. At this stage, here's what to focus on now. I want you to consider increasing your investment rate by 1% per year. So if you're at 10%, increase it to 11, and then 12, and then 13. Use compound interest calculators to visualize what your money will look like in 10, 20, 30 years. Ask yourself, when do I want to become work optional? Next, audit your money dials. Reallocate your money and spend it where it really matters. And most importantly, start reflecting. Ask yourself, what money beliefs have I changed my mind about in the last 5 years, 10 years? This reflection is one of the clearest signs that you are financially maturing. Real quick, hit subscribe. All right, let's move into level 5, freedom. Now we are truly entering one of the most exciting stages. It's not just that you're secure, you have options. If you want, you can quit your job, you can take a sabbatical, you can start a business, spend more time with your family. How do you know you're here? Well, you could stop working tomorrow and be fine. You can say no to work you don't want to do. And you are now planning ahead in years, not in paychecks or months. What should you do at this level? I really want you to define your rich life. What is it all for? This reflection is one of the clearest signs that you are financially maturing. Real quick, hit subscribe. Level 6, abundance. At this level, your systems are dialed in. Your income is solid. Your investments are growing. But the real difference, you know how to enjoy your money. You are here if you've maxed out your financial systems, if you spend freely on the things you love, if you've built a financial team as required, including an accountant, perhaps an attorney, perhaps an advisor, whatever team you need to run smoothly, and finally, you give generously. Now, what should you focus on at this level? My suggestion is you create certain areas of your life that are no budget zones. For example, you might say, I never question anything spent on health, or anything for our kids' education, we're not going to question on. What are the no budget zones that you might have in your life? For me, it's books. I am never going to question the price of a book. If I see something that looks good, boom, I'm going to buy it. Refine your team. Find new ways to give back. You are fortunate to have made it to this level. You probably benefited from lots of people around you, and you can give back not just with money, but with time and wisdom too. At this level, money is no longer purely about ROI. It's actually about impact and joy. Level 7, legacy. This is the highest level. And for the first time, it is not purely about you. You're here to create an impact for your family, your community, future generations. You know you're here if you've achieved true financial independence. If you are thinking bigger than yourself, even generationally. And in fact, if you are building something bigger than yourself. Here's where to focus. Get clear on your legacy goals. What do you want to be remembered for besides money? What do you want your kids or your community to say about your legacy? Were there specific organizations that had a huge impact on you growing up that now you can sustain? Perhaps the public library where you read books, learned to read. In your case, you can set up trusts. You can create an estate plan. You can think succession. It's not just a TV show. It's actually what you do with your money that can sustain beyond your life alone. Teach others what you've learned. Generational wealth is not just about writing people a big fat check. It can be spending time, mentoring them, teaching them, sharing. And surround yourself with people thinking on this level.